In this world of technology, things are ever changing, rearranging. You need someone to help you out. I know someone who can.
You'll never be alone. You'll be with Paul. I'm a dead slain in the tech zone.
Joining me right now is the power couple when it comes to keto living in Ketopia. We're talking about Dorian and Gemma, Miss and Mr. Keto. What's going on, you two? How are you both doing?
We're doing absolutely fantastic.
Fabulous. Aside from the allergies, great.
I know, Gemma. I know. I have them too. It's just like whenever the season seems to change, the allergies just come out of nowhere. But
right?
Yes. But you know, I've been looking forward to this segment with you too, and the reason why, personally, for myself, who just started the keto lifestyle, you know, I thought I was doing keto correctly. But it wasn't until I stumbled across you guys and the great piece of innovation that you have. It really helped me out. I kind of mentioned it in the opening segment before I brought you guys on. So I want to thank you guys personally for help steering my journey in the right direction. I really appreciate it.
Oh, awesome. That's what we love to do. I mean, that's why we started the company, frankly, to do just that, help.
And I really appreciate it. And what I wanted to do is start off by when you guys created this, and then also, what was the need that you both saw in creating this marvelous piece of innovation? This, I think, the top-notch keto meter out there. What was that need that you guys saw?
Well, back in 2015, I was 207 pounds. I had all the biomarkers for metabolic syndrome. I was on antidepressants, and my job wasn't doing well. And a friend of mine said, you know, you gotta get off the carbs. You have to go keto. And I'm like, I don't do fad diets. I'm not that kind of individual. So I started reading up all that I could on keto to find out, what is this and what is the science behind it. And, you know, I read the work of Volek and Finney and Taubes and Lustig.
Westman.
Dr. Eric Westman, absolutely. Dr. Jason Fung. And when you start looking at all the podcasts they're doing and the videos and reading their clinical papers, you know, it became evident that testing was key. Testing is what was the fundamental underpinning of the science. So I went on a well-regulated ketogenic diet. I was testing with a competitor's meter at that time. And over a period of 3 to 6 months, my weight just dropped off. I lost a total of 47 pounds, which was a sack of concrete.
And then on the other flip side, I had been dieting since I was 6 years old, battled with weight. Top weight was probably 180, and I now sit around 125. But so, I had tried every diet, from the chopstick diet to the cabbage soup diet, all of them.
I don't recommend the cabbage soup.
No, the cabbage soup is pretty bad. Yeah. But so, for us, it was like, and we love carbs. I made fresh bread every single week. And, we lived on pasta and grains and all of those things.
But they were whole grains.
But they were organic.
And they were organic. Yeah.
So, and, I was a product of the standard American diet, lived on carbs and diet soda and saccharin and red dye number, whatever. And, so we both came from similar, skepticism, but then, he lost 47 pounds. It took me a little longer, but I had reversed a lot of things that were going on during the course of a year. I had breast cancer and, autoimmune and just a number of things going on. So,
here we had a profound change in our lives. I lost the 47 pounds of weight. I came off of all of the medications. I got the joie de vivre back that I felt like when I was 24 again. I was 45 at this time back at that part. It was incredible. But then I was looking at the test strip, and these test strips back then were $4 to $5. And I kind of I split it apart. I weighed it. I looked at it, and I'm like, why is this $4 to $5? This just does not make sense. And so I drew up a list of 100 different manufacturers across the globe. I crushed matched that to the federal regulations because, a glucose and ketone meter, when they're combined together, is a class 2 medical device. So they're actually held to a much higher standard. And the goal, classic back of the napkin business plan was test 3 times a day for less than the cost of a latte. How could we lower the cost so it becomes affordable to more people so they could get better outcomes? Because if you kind of think about a well-regulated ketogenic diet, I think of it as a map and compass. You spoke earlier about going in the right direction. Mm-hmm. So the map, the terrain, the geology is like, if you want Taiwanese food, do you want to go to a Mongolian barbecue? Do you want to go in a new direction? And when you're going in a new direction, you need a compass. You need a compass to tell you where, if you're going in the right way or the wrong way. And this, I think, has been the fundamental change. And not only did we want to lower the cost, but we also wanted to build a platform and an ecosystem that could do more. So we built a secure, HIPAA compliant, encrypted health cloud. The first meter didn't have Bluetooth. Then we introduced a Bluetooth dongle onto it. So we had it backwardly compatible. So we didn't leave anybody behind as we made technology changes. Then we introduced a Bluetooth integrated meter. And now we're on to the second generation, the GK Plus meter.
And I think, one of the things we say a lot is it's more than a meter. And really, we've moved our website around so that the selling portion is kind of off to the side, and we really want to make, if we didn't have to sell a meter, it would be, but we do. But it's really about information sharing. And Dorian, as Dorian alluded to, different iterations of finding what worked for us in the beginning, and then saying, hey, this is something amazing. We want to share it, right? We want to get it out there. And then how can we make it better? And that's, kind of as we evolve, it's been a really interesting 4 years now. Wow. And, we've been keto since 2015. So it just keeps getting better. And we live very full, lives. We eat really well. I'm a certified sommelier, so we drink wine, but we test for wine, what wines are going to kick me out. And I'm really trying to sleuth out that to build a lifestyle. And pursuant to that, we're really concentrating now on the medical channel and how can we help the healthcare systems, the practitioners, the doctors get the word out and share information. So that's really what we're about, what the website's about, and really why the technology is so important, because it can reach people. Especially now in the age of COVID and remote patient monitoring, we're really trying to bridge that gap and get the technology up to speed so that we can help.
So, there's a few things I just want to go back to just a minute, because, it really piqued my interest when you said this. First, I want to apologize. It's Mr. and Mrs. Mojo. I'm sorry.
Oh, I don't mind Miss.
I messed that up. But Dorian, you said something. And I had a conversation with my registered dietitian the other day. You talked about how keto was not a fad diet. And when you first was approached about keto, you said you didn't want to do it because of the fad and everything. And that's one thing that I think the medical community is now learning, that this is not a fad diet. The science backs it up. The data backs it up. So I'm so glad that you shared that, Dorian. And I didn't mean to cut you off with your next point.
No, I just want to reiterate, we talk about, a well-regulated ketogenic diet has been used for over 30 years in the epilepsy community, especially in children, because ketones can actually help heal the brain and can reduce seizures. And it's been well researched for epilepsy. But if you talk about going back in clear history, it was William Banting in the 1800s who first wrote a letter on corpulence. So the historical aspect to it is that there's been hundreds of peer-reviewed papers that's come out. If we look at Nina Teicholz of the Nutrition Coalition, who's been petitioning the USDA to change the nutrition guidelines with clear, evidence-based, clinically proven, science-backed, peer-reviewed. It's like we need to bring this in. I mean, there has been a massive experiment in the United States since the 70s of a carb-rich diet. And we know that the Americans are doing what they've been told by the USDA because we see all the data on the imports. We see all the data from what the farming, and we see the data of what Americans are consuming. They're consuming a high-carb diet. And in that time, the obesity epidemic has skyrocketed. Diabetes now is costing the American society $380 billion a year. And yet, Virta Health in San Francisco have clinically proven to be able to reverse the effects of type 2 diabetes with a well-regulated ketogenic diet program, period. Imagine if we could reverse that 382 billion. How much could we afford on schools then? How much could we afford to help more with people with disabilities? Because the obesity epidemic is a drain on American resources.
Yeah.
No, that's a very, very, very vital point that you made there, Dorian, because it really makes sense. And I look at, what they told us to eat when I was younger, all these carbs and everything, and that has caused us to become insulin resistant. And so we're having all these different issues out there. And that's why I'm so glad to have you and Gemma talk about this and really, really bring truth to power when it comes to this. The data and the science backs it up. And when you look at your journey in particular, what were some of the challenges that you guys encountered once you decided to go keto? Because I'm just starting my journey and I've had a few challenges, but I would love to hear some of the challenges that you both had.
Well, obviously there's business challenges and then there's actual just life challenges.
I think he's interested in life challenges. You don't want to hear about the business challenges.
So the life challenges is what everybody suffers with. And it's, when you first go keto, you've got to realize that there's a physiological response and a psychological response. Physiological can be easily handled because we have the science and data behind all of that. When you first go keto, you are reducing your carbs down and the glycogen in your liver drops down. And then you get this point where your blood sugar drops and people go like, I gotta eat. And it's like, well, eat a well-regulated ketogenic diet. But it's going to take a while, usually about 24 to 48 hours for your liver to change, to retool, if you will, to start metabolizing either bodily fat or dietary fat for use for energy. And it's in this little 24, 48 hour window where people talk about keto flu. And that's easily taken care of by, it's an electrolyte imbalance of potassium, magnesium, and salt. Add that in. You can do that with bouillon stock, or you can do it with just supplements a little bit. And during that period, you won't get any of the keto flu that will come about. Your body will have transitioned to its natural set point. So then we have to deal with the psychological and the peer, like, oh, it's Friday and you're in the office and it's pizza.
Oh, grandma baked a pie,
Right.
So.
And then they're going, oh, just one slice, it's not going to kill you. One slice, it's not going to kill you. Well, it's just pizza, But then it's sort of like me. I used to smoke up until the age of 26. Imagine me saying, oh, one cigarette, it's not going to kill you. Or one drink to an alcoholic, it's not going to kill you. It's to a carboholic. And remember that carbs, the glucose, lights up the same pleasure centers in the brain as cocaine. When you see it, it's like you see kids who get the sugar fix, don't we? And they go crazy.
Oh yeah.
And I think, also for women, I think it's more challenging. I know you and your wife, Ray, are both, doing it, and she may experience a different path for a while. Dorian lost 47 pounds, boom, pretty much within 3 months. I could not get my ketones over 0.4. I was depressed. I was just not doing it. I hated it. And I hear from a lot of women, more women than men, that I don't know if keto's for me. It's just too hard, right? So luckily we were both on this journey together. And, by accident, I started fasting just because I wasn't eating and I was busy. And I noticed that things got better. And the thing with fasting, it's mental, it's like, oh, I have to eat, I can't not eat. And but once you kind of get over that, you realize, hey, I'm doing okay. My glucose is fine. My ketones are great. So again, that psychological piece. And once I kind of had a jump start there by fasting, intermittent fasting. And my ketones now sit around 1.2 to 2. And when I fast, do an extended fast, they'll get up into 4s and 5s. Wow. And I have a lot of energy and it's great. But you really have to get past whatever your boundaries or not your boundaries, whatever your blocks are. And for us, we went on a very strict, clean keto diet for the first 2 months.
That was almost like an elimination. We made sure that there was nothing there that could be causing problem. But some people don't do that because that's not their style. Yeah. So first you have to ask, what is the person's why and what's going to work with them? We use the D word, but we actually should think about a ketogenic lifestyle.
I actually don't like the word diet because it has that aura of, I'm on a diet and once I've lost, and I've been on 75 diets. Yeah, you lose it. We talked about this before. Yeah. You lose it. And then it's like, oh, I've lost my weight. Now I can go back to the way I'm eating. It can't be like that.
So, and here comes like the little kind of the thing that happens too. I know that, and Dorian, I'm glad you said that about an alcoholic, about all these things, because when we think of something as a diet, we think of something like Gemma just said, oh, in 2 months, I get to have that big, a bowl of spaghetti and this, and I'll be fine. But that will kick you back off. And this is another discussion I had with one of my medical professionals, and she was kind of throwing a little shade at me. And she was saying, well, you want to make sure you do something that you're able to continue. And I intend and will live this lifestyle for the rest of my life because I feel better. I enjoy the food. I enjoy the recipes I find on the website that you guys have. So there's a lot of things there that can help us to have this lifestyle and not that diet.
Yeah. And, now, especially there's so many resources out there. Maybe 4 or 5 years ago, it wasn't quite as easy, but now you have, keto friendly everything. And so it makes it much more easy to find support and resources.
I'd like to go back to your question a little bit of how the meter can help fine tune people. And so, first of all is the why. Why is the person following a well-regulated ketogenic diet? And there could be many reasons for this. There are those who are just looking for weight loss. Then there could be the extreme athletes who are looking for endurance
optimization
or to cut down fat mass. So they have lean body mass. MMA fighters especially want that power to weight ratio. It could be because of epilepsy, or it could be from cancer diagnosis, or it could be from PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, for trying to help women to conceive. And obviously type 2 diabetes, we're even seeing type 1 diabetics do it, neurological, Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. So it's the person's approach. And each one of those areas might need a different type of ketogenic diet. There's a spectrum of them. Most people don't realize that. You've got the glycemic keto, you've got 3-1, you've got 4-1, you've got carnivore keto, you've just got lazy clean keto, just lazy keto, or dirty keto, and there are different versions. So then you kind of like say, all right, I'm just starting out. So how does a meter help me out? Well, first of all, you can see if you are actually getting into nutritional ketosis, because you can only manage what you measure. And measurement is the first step that leads to control. Once you can control something, you can improve upon it. I never said that quote. I'm stealing it from somebody else. So that becomes the key.
Dorian, you made it up.
So that becomes the key. And one of the first joys from somebody starting is they say, I'm keto, but without measuring, they don't know. And then they go and start to measure the first day, and they're like, oh, I wasn't in a state of nutritional ketosis, because they thought keto was having a bulletproof coffee and then going and eating a donut.
I had a friend who did that.
Yeah. So because they're like, oh, I'm keto, I've got a bulletproof coffee.
Look, I'm drinking bulletproof. It's like, but you have a donut. It doesn't. Nah.
Right.
Nah.
So what then gives the joy is when you start to see your ketones change from 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, you're getting cleared and almost at that watershed moment of turning the corner at 0.5, which is, according to Volek and Philly, that is the point of nutritional ketosis. You now get this biofeedback that what you are doing is working for you and your bio-individuality.
And everybody's different, and that's the key to bio-individuality. He and I ate exactly the same thing, but he had a much different journey than I did. And that was something that took some time to sink out. Yeah.
So now we've had that journey of to ketopia. That's stage one. You know, I've actually got myself into nutritional ketosis, but what if you were struggling to get through to the gates of ketopia? What was happening? Say you're at 0.3 and 0.4. And we saw this firsthand. We were doing the reverse docu-series with Charles Maddox, and one of the contestants was not getting in ketosis. And you can see that she was a little frustrated. And then the question is, you have to ask yourself, why? What's happening here? We were in a controlled environment of all the food was keto. So what was happening? Well, what we found out was back in where the house she was staying in, there was somebody who had left 2% milk, and she liked 2% milk in her coffee. And she didn't realize the lactose content of that 2% milk was preventing her from getting into nutritional ketosis. Once that was removed and taken out, she crossed the gates into ketopia. Yeah. She got that feedback that like, yeah, I'm in control. And this is how a ketone and glucose meter, if used well, can actually guide you.
It really helps you sleuth out.
Take you in the right direction.
Yeah. So you look at what you're eating. If it's not working, well, what am I eating? Oh, look, I eat this, and my glucose spikes and my ketones. Yeah. Well, that means that it's not. For me, it was, the faux sweeteners like erythritol, mannitol, sorbitol, all the tols. And I have to be really careful with faux carbs because I love carbs. So if it tastes like a carb, I'm going to eat it like a carb, right? And all of those sweeteners and all the fake sugar, they really do a number on me, and I have to be really diligent. But I didn't know that in the beginning because I was feeding myself with these, faux sweets. And
So how does testing, so what we recommend for people first starting out is get your baseline. About an hour after waking, do a measurement. And that's your out. Why do I say an hour after waking? Well, this is what's known as the dawn phenomenon, which gives you a cortisol spike in the morning that pushes up your glucose. And people measure and go, my glucose is in the hundreds. What's going wrong? Well, it could be dawn phenomenon, or it could be that you had a bad night's sleep, or it could be that you're really stressed.
Or too many glasses of wine the night before.
Those things can be a factor. So you wait about an hour and they'll give you fast. And that's a pretty stable number. And then obviously, say we're trying out a new breakfast. You've got a test. You can now go and eat your breakfast, and about an hour after eating, do a second test. Now, if you've seen your blood glucose spike by over 30 points, hey, there's some carbs in there. You need to sleuth out what is in that. Look at the back of that and say you had a yogurt and you found out, it's a 1% yogurt and it's loaded with lactose. Maybe go for a high fat yogurt. And if that's not giving you that response, now you know that's good for you. So you've got that waypoint on your journey. And now if you have that yogurt again, you don't need to test again because you've worked out your route. You've worked out what works for you.
And it's almost counterintuitive because it's from what our upbringing of low fat and, really just cut your calories. We use heavy cream, and it's much better, for the ketogenic lifestyle than 2% or low fat or non-fat milk. And that's what you have to kind of get in your.
But here again, we come to bio-individuality. We mentioned heavy cream and I mentioned yogurt. This is now the keto police are out blowing their whistles on us right now, going like dairy. And there'll be factions that say, no, you shouldn't have dairy.
Right.
Well, dairy might be a problem, certainly for somebody with multiple sclerosis because of the casein that's in there.
Yeah.
And for them, high-fat cream might not be working right for them. Same as a high-fat yogurt. But if it's somebody who's just looking for weight loss, and a high-fat yogurt with a sprinkling of raspberries and a little bit of dried pecans, that's a surrogate for when they used to have their cereals.
It's my favorite.
It will work well for them. So we don't espouse one side of keto versus the other side. We say, look, just use the data to guide you. Yeah. And once you've learned your route, you don't need to test.
Well, I'm interested, you've been using the meter now for a couple of weeks. How has it changed your kind of outlook and the way you guys are living your life? Because you're just starting out, so you're really living it. You're living what we did like 6 years ago.
Yeah, and I'm so glad you asked me that, Gemma, because I was just thinking when you and Dorian were both talking about my journey. I remember I have my meter up right here, so I'm going to scroll down to when I first took my readings back on a couple weeks ago. I was 6.4 GKI, so that was my GKI. And then I remember one evening I had a 13.1 GKI. So I realized something that I was eating that was supposed to be keto friendly is not really keto friendly. So I eliminated that. Then the morning I was down to 9.9 GKI. And then the next day I went back into 6.9 GKI. So I'm learning that just because things say they're keto friendly, it doesn't mean, and like my wife Ray, like she was able to get into a good GKI just the other day for the first time. But it was because we tested every day, we looked at the data, we started to eliminate things, started to fast a little more fat here, take a little bit more carbs out, and then everything was fine. And that's why this is like a lifesaver for me, because I was fumbling through keto. I thought I was doing keto, but the science, the data, and the blood does not lie. I encourage everyone, if you're going to do keto, make the investment and get the keto Mojo. I mean, because if not, you're just wasting your money doing keto if you're not doing it the right way. That's my sticking to it.
Well, we appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, but it's like the compass. Yeah. You think you might be working north, but are you? Because there's east is over there and west is over there by the sun.
And south is somewhere.
If I'm going that way, maybe I am. And so this is how you dial it into your bio-individuality. Like for an athlete might be able to do far more carbs because of the way that they're working out. They can be in nutritional ketosis, maybe at 30 or 40 grams of carbs. But for somebody who might have had a lot of metabolic damage over a long period of time, they might need to be super strict at 20 grams. And the question is it 20 grams total? Is it 20 grams net? Do we take out the fiber? And, I found that I tracked my macros for the first month, and I did that specifically so I could understand food. Yeah. There's many people that do not understand where carbs can creep in. Yeah. And some people don't know even the difference between carbohydrate, protein, and fat. And, let's talk about American education on another time. But they don't, and they don't understand that. And that we need to help educate people. And, that like almonds, I think, is like the classic one. Almonds, it's a nut. It's got to be great. Well, actually, almond is sort of like a middle of the road nut. And what I mean by that is you can get carb creep even on almonds.
Too many, yeah.
Macadamia nuts, Brazils, and pecans, they're the best. Mm-hmm. Cashews and pistachios are really bad. Most people don't realize, they think it's a nut and they say it like that, but they don't realize I think it's like 37 grams of carbohydrates per 100. Yeah. So it's a very high carb, and you can quickly knock yourself out of ketosis thinking what you're doing is right. Yeah. Having a whole nut is much better because you've got to chew it, you've got to take it down. When it starts getting processed into almond flours and other things, you get the carb creep. And this is where you said, that's not a keto food. We can always go, almost anything is a keto food if it fits your macros.
Well, if it says keto on it, it's got to be keto, right? And then you look at the ingredients, and there's 35 ingredients you can't pronounce.
Yeah, it's spiked insulin.
Yeah, and the carbs are like, 38 carbs, but it's keto,
And you see that one slice of keto bread, and you start actually looking at it going like, I might only, this is taking about a third of what I could do in a day. And if it's taking a third, is it then right for you? Only that person can make that decision.
This also brings up another point, is that what if somebody said to me, what if I test the food I love the most and it totally kicks me out of ketosis? Well, okay, then and then you can make an informed choice. So if you choose to have that food, then you know what it's going to do, and you can make the accommodations you need to, or you make that decision. But then it puts the power in you. It's not like, well, I think it's okay. It's keto, right? It's keto, but if you have the power, and that empowers people to make informed choices down the line. So that's the key.
No, I totally agree. And, Gemma and Dorian, we can talk for hours about this. And as a matter of fact, we're going to have you back on for a follow-up segment, because there's so many things we can learn about this. But as we wrap this up, Dorian, one of the things I wanted to just touch on briefly was just about what makes the Keto Mojo just different from out there, with the increased strip longevity and all these things, and the lower price and the foundation too. Let's touch on that for a second too, and then we'll wrap it up, my friend.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that we realized when we were going to all these medical conferences and
meeting doctors and clinicians and researchers
was nobody had cash to do these studies. And although there's been hundreds of studies out there, they were still crying out for more cash, because they needed to do bigger studies or more pilot studies of seeing the effectiveness in different sections of the medical community. So we realized that there wasn't a sort of like a monetary feedback to help support that. So we set up the Ketogenic Foundation. It's a 501c3 public charity. We seeded it with $500,000 to begin with. And what we wanted to have is a market forcing function. So we have lots of friends in the keto community. And if you go to our website, to the Mojo marketplace, if you purchase something through there, there's an affiliate payment that doesn't come back to Keto Mojo. It actually goes to the foundation, and that foundation helps supports clinical trials, studies, and education into the use of ketogenic therapies for humankind. And our goal is to build it up so there is an endowment in perpetuity, so that we can continue long after we've gone, because Gemma and I, we don't have children. So the question is for us is, do we want to make a buck, or do we want to make a difference? And I think for us, that will be our legacy.
And it's really proven to be so rewarding to be able to seriously give back and fund trials. And that's really what our goal is and also the education and getting the word out there and sharing the knowledge and the science. I mean, that's really important to us.
It is. And I tell you, the next segment we're going to spend that segment talking about that awesome website, because that website, to me, is one of my top 2 websites, that I've ever experienced, ever thumbed through. Some of the things there are just amazing. So,
and it's for free. Anybody can go anytime.
That means a lot. It was really important to us that we redeveloped the website to be free for everyone, information. You don't have to buy a meter, and you just to share the information, to share the videos and the articles.
I'd like to give a shout out to Low Carb USA. We license all of their videos from
the conferences.
So if you want to hear the leading clinicians and researchers and doctors, it's all there. It's not behind a paywall. So there's over 182 hours of real high quality product. And it will run the gamut from the layperson all the way up to the doctor, clinician, researcher. So you can go in and geek out on as much science and nerd stuff that you want.
Awesome. So I'm going to obligate you guys to come back on.
Okay.
Next month. We'll talk more about that. All right. Can I get you guys back on?
Absolutely. Yes, of course.
All right. Sounds good. Gemma and Dorian, I love you guys. I mean, you guys are so awesome.
You and Ray are both so amazing. It was just when we first Zoomed, I was like, oh my God, I love you. Just kindred spirit and a lot of synergy here. So
no, but I appreciate you guys, and keep on doing this fantastic work. We need you out there in the fight when it comes to health and everything, because your approach is balanced, backed by science. We really appreciate your voice that we have out there.
Thank you. We appreciate you.
A huge shout out to Mrs. and Mr. Mojo, or is it Mr. and Mrs. Mojo? I always get that messed up. I don't know why I keep doing that, but Gemma and Dorian, enjoyed chatting with them. Amazing folks. I shared a little bit about my journey. I've been doing it for a little over 2 months. And because I am in a wheelchair, it's hard for me to weigh myself. But as soon as I get my second vaccination and get fully vaccinated, I'm going to go down to the rehab hospital and weigh myself. And do drum roll, please. But I know my wife, Rainy Day, she's almost about 17 pounds. And she's been doing it for the same time I have. So congratulations to her. I'm very proud of her. And Gemma and Dorian wanted me to extend a discount to you out there. If you would like to get this Keto Mojo meter, get one. It's the difference between success and not succeeding. If you go to my Instagram page, my IG page, Paul Amadeus Lane on IG, you'll see a Linktree link. It's actually Linktree/Amadeus2K. You click on there. If you scroll down, you'll see Keto Mojo. Click on there. We got your discount for you. All right. Cool. So when we get back, we're going to talk about mergers and acquisitions and how technology is really helping those in this area to have some major success, even during this pandemic. Right back after these messages.